Hi, my name is Regina Din.
I'm Ivana Juarez.
And my name is Maria Rojas, and this is week 3 of saponification of triglycerides.
So just a quick reminder of what we're doing as our background. We're creating our own eco-friendly soap with saponification, with oils, in order to stay hygienic during the pandemic. And we're not using any waste because we're not producing any.
So our previous week results, so we retested our pH levels for week 1 and then our last week's, which is week number 2. So week 1 was still at a 10.5, which is the first pH strip that you'll see. And then for pH level week number 2, trial 1 is our second strip that is at a range of 10.5 to an 11. It's leaning towards more the 11, hence it's why it's a little bit darker. And trial 2 is at a steady 10.5, which is our third strip at the bottom. So during this lab, um, well, last week we had talked about wanting to change the amount of light that goes into our soap based on the results that our pH had happened to be, and they happen to be above the range of 9 to 10. That is actually meant to be for soap. So this lab, we decided to decrease the amount of lye by 0.2 grams for 2 trials in hopes to lower the consistent 10.5 pH level. So trial 1, so the last 2 weeks, we've been keeping a steady lye of 9.4 grams. So for trial 1, we kept it at a 9.2 grams, and then trial 2, we dropped it by another 0.2 at a 9.0 grams. So we blended a mixture of oils and lye and noticed a vast difference in the making of the batches. So for trial 1, the 9.2 grams of lye had a good thicker consistency and trace after the 4 minutes of blending that we were doing. However, trial number 2 had a 9.0 grams of lye, had a more watery like consisting after the 4 minutes of blending. And if I recall correctly, it took about 5 minutes for it to get close to that thicker consistency than like the trial 1 did. And of course, both trials were included with essential oils, which is a typical 5 to 6 drops.
So based on what we observed with our blending, where trial 1 with 9.2 had a better consistency versus trial 2 which had a more water consistency, we hypothesized that the trial 1 would have a better result because of the consistency and would have a better pH. And we actually tested the trials from last week on our skin. Um, the sensations of the soaps themselves felt very similar to each other. However, when we put the soaps and our hands under the water, we noticed a difference between regular tap water versus the DI water. So the regular tap water, we noticed that it lathered a lot more than the DI water one did, and it gave us a sensation of our hands being very clean because with regular tap water is um, hard water, which contains calcium carbonate, which kind of washes away the soap better, giving less of a lather compared to DI water, because when DI water is using soft water with sodium chloride, it's actually not lathering. It's lathering more, but not washing away as well as the tap water did. So our hands felt almost slimy after we ran it through the DI water compared to the tap water. But in terms of the color, as you can see by the picture on the right, our very, very first trial is lighter in consistency compared to our trials from last week. In this picture, is actually just the bottom, but the tops of the soaps actually very yellow compared to the whiteness of the soaps from week 1.
All right, and so our future plans. So, depending on the results that we get next week based on their pH, we will decide to continue to decrease the lye or increase. So, if the pH is below the desired range, the 9 to 10, we would increase the amount of lye we used from last week. But if the pH is too high and it's too basic, we would decrease the amount of lye. If everything turns out according to plan, the pH is where we desire, then we will experiment the amount of extra virgin olive oil we use, and everything else will be kept the same. So thank you guys for paying attention, and please let us know if you have any questions.